Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another election prediction video. This time we have a three-way race for the 2024 election. So, surprisingly, there's been recent polls out that showed because Kennedy wants to run as a third-party candidate now because he has no shot in a primary against Biden. He has a considerable amount of support in a three-way race. The Zogby poll has him at about 19%, with Trump at 38 and Biden at 38. The Echelon Insights poll has Kennedy at 14%, with Trump at 40 and Biden at 36. And so far, he might have a pretty big impact, but I think an alternative explanation for that is it's maybe just his last name giving him that big of a name recognition in a poll like that. But then again, let's just go through with this. Let's say that Kennedy gets 16% support. The implications of that are actually quite big. That means he would make the debate stage because the rule is if you get 15% in the polls on average, you're on the debate stage as an independent candidate. So that would be a pretty big deal in American politics. We hadn't had a three-way debate since I'm pretty sure, what was his name again? Ross Perot back in 1992, that election. That was the last time we had a third-party candidate on the debate stage. But yeah, and so for the polls, they're a bit evenish. I mean, Kennedy really doesn't take away from either of the two parties that much. Like, it's usually like an even split or so. I was kind of expecting him to hurt Trump more, but it looks like it's really negligible, his impact on really affecting many states. It would probably only shift a handful in the 2024 election either way. But let's get right into it. So even though Kennedy running, he really doesn't take away that much Democratic support, that much Republican support. Like either way, like I said, it's pretty evenly split. So Colorado still goes safe blue. New Mexico and Virginia probably just stay likely blue. Alaska, I think Kennedy running here actually hurts Trump a bit just with white rural voters, probably leaning towards him a bit more. Could see it hurting him in Alaska and Texas. Again, with Texas, they actually do like independent candidates a lot. So again, I could see like a lot of anti-Trump people here that just dislike Biden voting for Kennedy here. Instead, I could see this state actually going more in favor of Trump with Kennedy on the ballot. So I think Kennedy would definitely hurt Biden in the state of Texas. In Iowa, I could see Kennedy on the ballot hurting Trump, turning it from a safe red state to likely Republican just with his vaccine skepticism and all, probably appealing a bit more to those white rural base in Iowa. Could definitely see it hurting Kennedy or hurting Trump here, just Kennedy being on the ballot. Nebraska second, I don't really think it changes much. They usually like a more moderate type of candidate, and RFK Jr., he doesn't really share a lot of really moderate positions. Sometimes he has pretty fringe left positions and fringe right positions, so he's a bit of a very weird candidate, and I don't think Nebraska second like that wonky of a candidate anyway. Maine at large, I think really nothing changes here. I still think Biden probably wins it by safe blue margin. Maine second, I could see Kennedy actually hurting Trump in the Maine second congressional district, which is I'm putting it down to lean Republican. I could see it hurting it with white rural voters, like the same reason with Alaska. Ohio, again, it would probably just keep it down for sure to likely Republican, Kennedy being in the ballot. Again, with white rural voters, pretty much the same reasoning there. Florida, it probably just doesn't change much. I see him pulling equal amounts of support away in Florida, still likely Republican. North Carolina, putting as lean Republican, I don't really see much of a difference of Kennedy being here. Takes support about even away. In New Hampshire, the weird thing is, I think it would probably still be likely Democratic. I don't think much really changes here. I don't really see him hurting either candidate that much in the state of New Hampshire. Minnesota probably stays the same as well. But the big states are Georgia, Wisconsin, and Arizona. I think those are the three states that'll be interesting to see his impact, and maybe even Nevada as well. But with Georgia, it's possible that Kennedy being on the ballot here actually hurts Trump by a bit. Because, again, I really don't think black voters are going to be that compelled. I don't think a lot of them would even vote for RFK Jr. because they just don't view him as a favorable candidate to them. And I don't really see a lot of more white moderate voters being enthused to vote for RFK Jr. because of his vaccine positions are quite fringe. So honestly, I think it's a really tough state to decide. Would Kennedy take more support away from Trump here? Definitely in the rural parts of the state. I really don't think black voters would budge that much with Kennedy here. So I'm going to probably give Georgia to Joe Biden here. I think that would change the calculus in it a bit. I think Kennedy being in the ballot here actually hurts Trump with more white rural voters. Same with Arizona. Again, I think that would hurt Trump with white rural voters with Kennedy being in the ballot. So it goes from tilt D to lean blue. In Nevada, just depends on those independent voters, honestly. Would it change it that much, though? Yeah, it's quite tough to say. I would probably just put it as tilt D for now. I don't really see it affecting one way or the other. There's a lot of Latino voters in Nevada. I don't see RFK Jr. appealing that well to minority voters across the board. So it'd probably just be the same result here. But in the 3 Rust Belt states, Michigan, I think it probably just remains about the same. Wisconsin, I think RFK Jr., he would probably hurt Trump a bit more in Wisconsin, but just by a teeny tiny amount, and I probably still would have Trump winning Wisconsin by a tilt Republican margin. In Pennsylvania, again, he would hurt he would hurt Trump more with white rural voters. I still think that would be the thing there. I still think Latinos and black voters in Pennsylvania would still come out heavy for Biden, wouldn't really consider voting for RFK Jr. I really don't think the suburban voters, especially with a lot of RFK Jr.'s fringe positions, would be that enthused to vote for him. So I could see RFK Jr. hurting Trump more here, but I think it'd just be about pulling even support away. I still think it would make it a tilt blue state. So really the only change of RFK Jr. running is instead of Trump winning Georgia like I had in my last prediction, Biden would flip it just because of RFK Jr. absorbing white rural voters' votes away from Trump to him. So overall, even though RFK Jr. in this prediction finishes with like 16% of the popular vote in this hypothetical, based on what the polls are saying so far, it really doesn't affect the Electoral College that much so far based on the data and my read on it. Of course, it could change if we see more polls. Maybe that takes Biden support more away. But so far, I think it's negligible, RFK Jr.'s effect. He's such a weird candidate. He just pulls support away equally from both parties. But other than that, I would highly recommend subscribing to the channel. I would appreciate it greatly. And you should totally leave a comment down in the section below. Let me know, do you think RFK Jr. hurts the Democrats, the Republicans, and more? That's a good conversation topic. But other than that, I'll see y'all in the next video.